There's one thing no doctor tells you in the office. Not because it's a secret, not because it's dangerous, but because it's too simple, too cheap. And when something is simple and cheap, the whole system ignores it. I'm talking about a white powder that you probably have in your kitchen right now that costs less than $5. And that might be the reason you're waking up in the morning without that firmness you had at 30. But here's the part that's going to hook you on this video. It's not the problem that matters now, it's what's causing it. And I can guarantee you the cause isn't what you're thinking. I'm Dr. Natália Castro, and I'm going to explain exactly what's happening inside your body after 50 and how this ingredient you have at home could be the answer you've been looking for. Stick around because what I'm going to show you in the next few minutes will change the way you see your health forever. Let me ask you a direct question. Do you know what pH is? Maybe yes, maybe no, but what I know for sure is that you've never associated your body's pH with that problem you wake up thinking about and go to sleep trying to ignore. pH is basically a balance scale. It goes from 1 to 14. In the middle, at number 7, is the neutral point. Below 7, the body is acidic. Above 7, it's alkaline. When you were 25, your body naturally stayed around 7.4. That was the ideal point. Everything worked. Circulation was strong. Response was quick. You didn't have to think about it. But over time, the pH changes, and when it drops to 6.8 to 6.5, sometimes even lower, something starts failing silently inside you. Now, I need you to pay attention here because this is the most important point of the entire video. When the body gets too acidic, 3 things happen, and all 3 are directly linked to the problem you might be experiencing today. First, your blood vessels close up. They become rigid, less flexible, like an old garden hose that's lost its elasticity. The blood that should flow freely starts meeting resistance. Second, circulation drops. The blood still flows, but with less force, like a river that's lost its source. And third, and this is the most critical of all, your body stops producing a molecule called nitric oxide. You've probably never heard that name, but it changes everything. Nitric oxide is the master key. It's the substance that makes blood vessels open up, that allows blood to flow toward erectile tissues, that creates the physiological condition for the response to really happen. Without nitric oxide, there's no response, no matter how much you want it, no matter how much you try. And now comes the question that's going to make you stick around until the end. If nitric oxide is the key, what turned off that key in your body? The answer is acidic pH. In an acidic environment, the body simply can't produce nitric oxide efficiently. It's like trying to light a candle underwater. The condition doesn't exist, the mechanism fails. But calm down because this is exactly where baking soda comes in. Baking soda is one of the most alkalizing substances in nature. When you ingest it in the right dose, it neutralizes accumulated acidity, raises the pH, and restores the environment your body needs to produce nitric oxide again. Simple as that. But before I explain how to use it, I need to tell you the story of one of my patients, a 64-year-old man I'll call Sérgio, because his story is probably similar to yours. And what happened to him will make it clearer than any scientific explanation. Sérgio came to my office with a tired look. Not tired from work, tired from trying. He told me, "Doctor, I've tried everything. Those little blue pills, the ones in another color, a root a friend sent from another city. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. But when it does, my head explodes with pain, my nose gets stuffy, my heart races. I'm more afraid of the remedy than the problem." I listened and then did something no previous doctor had done with him. I asked him to urinate on a pH strip. Result 6.4, very acidic. I explained the nitric oxide mechanism, the pH, the blood vessels. He looked at me with skepticism, the same skepticism you might be feeling now. And I said, all I'm asking is for a quarter teaspoon of baking soda a day divided into 2 doses. Give me a month. 4 days later, he sent me a message, and I'll never forget what he wrote. I woke up today with that longing from when I was 35. He didn't need to explain. I understood. 3 weeks later, Sérgio came back to the office with a different posture. Shoulders open, direct gaze. He told me he'd thrown away the pills, that life with his wife was different, better than in the last 6 years. And all because of a powder he'd forgotten at the back of his kitchen cabinet. But here I need to give you an important warning because Sergio's story has a part he didn't follow at first, and that almost ruined everything. But before I tell you that part, let me pause here. If you're watching this video now, it's probably because you or someone you know is going through this. Comment below where you're watching from, because I get men from all over Brazil, Portugal, various places. And it's always good to know this content is reaching where it needs to. Now, the part Sergio almost messed up, and that I need you to understand carefully, because this could be the difference between results in days or months. The dose, baking soda works, but quantity isn't quality. More baking soda doesn't mean more effect, quite the opposite. When you take baking soda in excess, you reduce stomach acidity more than necessary. And then problems start. Bloating, nausea, digestive difficulty. The sodium in baking soda can also pressure the kidneys if overused. Sergio, in the excitement of the 4th day, doubled the dose, thinking it would speed up the process. He spent 3 days with an upset stomach. He called me worried. I went back to the correct dose, and in 2 days, he was fine again. So note this carefully. The morning dose, as soon as you wake up, before coffee, before anything, dilute a quarter teaspoon of baking soda in a glass of warm water. Just warm water, no lemon. Lemon cancels the effect. Stir well, drink slowly, then wait at least 30 minutes before breakfast. The evening dose 2 hours after dinner. Before bed, take another quarter teaspoon in the same way, half a glass of warm water. Total for the day, half a teaspoon. No more than that. Why is the evening dose so strategic? Because nighttime is the body's repair period. It's when testosterone is produced, when tissues regenerate, when the vascular system rests and recovers. If you keep the pH alkaline during this period, you're creating the perfect conditions for everything to work better overnight and upon waking. And here's something most people don't know. There's a way to enhance the effect of baking soda that I rarely see explained, and it costs nothing. But before I tell you, I need you to understand why baking soda alone, without this adjustment, delivers only half the possible results. When the body is acidic, the problem isn't just the pH itself, it's what acidity does to the foods you eat. An acidic body absorbs fewer nutrients, produces more inflammation, accumulates more visceral fat, especially that belly that appears after 50. And visceral fat, in turn, increases acidity. You enter a self-feeding cycle. The way to break this cycle is simple. Combine baking soda with strategic dietary changes. First, hydration. Baking soda has sodium and sodium retains. If you don't drink at least 8 glasses of water a day while on this protocol, you'll feel bloating, fatigue, and the effects will be lesser. Think of water as the fuel that carries the baking soda where it needs to go. Second, potassium. Sodium and potassium need to be in balance in the body. Increasing sodium without increasing potassium creates an electrolyte imbalance that can raise blood pressure. Potassium-rich foods are simple. Banana, avocado, spinach, beans, almonds. Add some of these to your daily routine. Third, and this is what most people ignore, you need to cut acidifying foods. white sugar, refined flour, processed meats like sausage and ham, soda, alcohol. These foods throw the pH back down. It's like filling a leaky bucket. The effort is there, but the result disappears. Fourth, green vegetables. Broccoli, kale, spinach, cucumber, watercress. These foods are naturally alkalizing and work with baking soda to keep the pH at the right point. Try to add at least 1 serving of green vegetables to each meal. Now I'm going to tell you what one of my patients discovered by combining baking soda with apple cider vinegar. And the results he had surprised even me. His name was Antonio. He was 70, more retired, active, but had completely lost function for over 2 years. He told me he'd already resigned himself. He literally said, "Doctor, I've closed that account." I suggested the baking soda protocol. He did it for 3 weeks without significant results. Then he sent me a message. "Can I mix it with apple cider vinegar?" I said yes and explained how. 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, a tablespoon of pure apple cider vinegar, all in a glass of water. The mixture will foam. Wait for the foam to subside and drink. Apple cider vinegar improves digestion and increases enzymes responsible for nutrient absorption. The combination with baking soda creates a double effect. It alkalizes and optimizes absorption. 4 weeks later, Antonio came back. He didn't need to say anything. I saw it on his face. But what surprised me most was what he mentioned at the end of the consultation. My blood pressure dropped, my belly shrank, and I urinate with a force I haven't had in years. Because when you fix the pH, you fix more than one problem. You fix the entire environment. Now, there's something I need to show you before continuing. Many men who watch this type of video make a silent mistake. They hear about baking soda, start using it, but continue taking antacids, blood pressure meds, stomach medications all together at the same time without separating. And then the baking soda doesn't work, not because it's weak, but because it's being neutralized or interfering with the absorption of the others. The rule is clear. Baking soda needs to be taken on an empty stomach and separated from any medication by at least 2 to 3 hours. This applies to meds, supplements, vitamins, everything. If you take medication for blood pressure, heart, stomach, don't stop, but adjust the times to ensure baking soda has space to act. And speaking of blood pressure, if you have hypertension, start with a smaller dose, 1/8 of a teaspoon twice a day. Monitor your blood pressure daily. If it rises, reduce further or consult your doctor. The sodium in baking soda can affect blood pressure in some people, not most, but some. This transparency matters. I'm not here to sell you a miracle. I'm here to give you a tool that works when used correctly. Now let me tell you what you can expect week by week when you start this protocol. This is important because a lot of people give up on the 3rd day thinking it's not working. And that's exactly when things are starting. On the 1st day, you probably won't feel anything dramatic. Maybe a slight increase in energy, more mental clarity, a subtle feeling that the body is lighter. Subtle but real. On the 3rd day, most of my patients report waking up with morning erections. Those erections that disappeared years ago, sometimes decades, suddenly return. It's the first sign that the pH is responding and that nitric oxide is being produced again. In the first week, spontaneous responses start during the day, without intense stimulation, without anxiety. The body starts responding like it did before. In the 2nd week, most men report being able to have complete relations, with firmness, without rush, without medication. Self-confidence returns, and that alone solves half the problem because performance anxiety is one of the biggest enemies of erectile function. In the 1st month, the pH stabilizes, the body adapts, the benefits become consistent. This is no longer a temporary effect, it's a new baseline for your body. Now, there's something I need to tell you here. If you're 60, 65, 70, 75 years old and thinking it's too late, I need you to read what one of my patients told me after 3 months of the protocol. His name was Benedito. He was 76. And he said, "Doctor, I spent decades of my life believing this was an old man's thing, that there comes a time when you have to accept it. What I didn't know is that my body didn't know my age. It only knew it was acidic. When I corrected that, it started working again, as if the calendar didn't exist." Benedito urinated better, had more energy. Function had returned. He was 76 and felt like he was 55. Age isn't the cause of the problem. The acidic environment is the cause, and the acidic environment can be corrected. There's something I want to show you now, something that will help you not go wrong on the path. To know if baking soda is working for you, you need a simple tool. pH strips are sold in pharmacies and also online. They cost around $10 to $50 per pack. With this tool, do the following. Every morning before drinking water or anything, collect a sample of your first urine of the day in a cup and dip the strip for 2 seconds. The strip changes color. Compare it to the scale on the package. If the result is between 6.8 and 7.5, you're on the right track. Continue. If it's below 6.5, you're still very acidic. Stick to the protocol strictly. Review your diet. If it's above 7.8, slightly reduce the dose. More alkaline isn't better. Balance is the goal. This simple monitoring changes everything because you stop operating in the dark. You start seeing what's happening inside your body, and that generates something even more powerful: confidence. When you see the number change with your own eyes, you believe in the process. And when you believe, you maintain consistency. And consistency is what produces real results. I want to share with you now what I call the complete protocol, the exact step-by-step I give to my patients who want the best possible results. Upon waking, before getting out of bed, drink a glass of plain warm water, just water. This activates metabolism and prepares the digestive system for what's next. 30 minutes later, the first dose of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon in a glass of warm water, slowly. No rush. For breakfast, alkalizing foods: avocado, almonds, eggs with spinach. A green shake, no white bread, no sugary cereal, no orange juice, which is highly acidic despite its healthy reputation. Early morning, a 20 to 30-minute walk. It doesn't need to be fast. Moderate exercise helps maintain the correct pH, improves circulation, and increases natural nitric oxide production. It's one of the most powerful combinations out there. For lunch, half the plate with vegetables, a 1/4 with quality protein like chicken or fish, a 1/4 with low glycemic carbs like brown rice or sweet potato. In the afternoon, constant hydration. It's the time of day when most people dehydrate without noticing. Drink water, your body is working. For dinner, a light meal, lots of vegetables, little protein, nothing heavy. Eat at least 3 hours before bed. 2 hours after dinner, the second dose of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon and half a glass of warm water. Before bed, consider adding magnesium. Magnesium works in synergy with baking soda, helps relax muscles, improves sleep quality, and supports nighttime pH. A 200 to 300 ml capsule is enough. This protocol, followed consistently, is what produces the results my patients report. It's not magic, it's applied physiology. Now I want to give you something extra because there are combinations that enhance the effect even more. Baking soda with turmeric. Mix a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda with a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric in a glass of water. Turmeric is one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories, and chronic inflammation is one of the biggest enemies of erectile function because it narrows vessels and reduces circulation. This combination alkalizes and reduces inflammation at the same time. Baking soda with green tea. Prepare your green tea, let it cool to warm, then add the baking soda. Green tea has antioxidants called catechins that stimulate nitric oxide production. It's an almost perfect partnership. Baking soda with coconut water. Coconut water has natural potassium, which helps balance the sodium in baking soda. It's one of the most pleasant ways to do this protocol, especially for those who don't like the neutral taste of plain warm water. What you should never mix: orange juice, lemon, or any citrus. They're acidic and will cancel the baking soda's effect before it even reaches the intestine. Before I give you answers to the most common questions I get, I need to show you something. There's a guide I prepared specifically for men over 60. It's called the Medical Guide to Avoiding Errors That Damage the Prostate After 60, and it's available in the pinned comment right below this video. This guide goes beyond what I can cover here in a video. It covers the dietary and habitual errors most men make that go in the opposite direction of what baking soda is trying to do in your body. If you're over 60 or caring for someone in that age group, this guide is exactly what you need now. It's there in the pinned comment. Now, the most frequent questions that come to me on this topic, I'll be direct and clear on each one. Can any man use baking soda? Yes. Men over 50 who've noticed a reduction in function, who want to improve overall health, who want to recover vitality, all can use it. It doesn't matter if you're 55, 65, 75, or 80, your body still responds. What changes is the response time, but the response happens. What if I have diabetes? Baking soda can be beneficial as many diabetics have acidic bodies, but monitor your glucose closely, because baking soda can influence how the body processes glucose. Tell your doctor, what if I have high blood pressure? Start with a smaller dose, 1/8 teaspoon twice a day, and monitor blood pressure daily. If it rises, reduce or stop and consult your doctor. Most of my patients with controlled hypertension use it without issue, but monitoring is essential. What if I have kidney problems? Here, medical supervision is necessary. The kidneys process baking soda. If they're compromised, there could be complications. Don't use without talking to your urologist. What if I have heart problems? If you've had a heart attack or have heart failure, consult your cardiologist first. Baking soda can alter electrolyte balance. In most cases, there's no problem, but your doctor needs to know. Can I take it with stomach medication? Yes, but separate by at least 3 hours. Taken together, they neutralize each other and neither works as it should. What if I have gastritis? Baking soda neutralizes stomach acid and can help with gastritis. If there's an active ulcer with bleeding, don't use without supervision. Controlled gastritis is usually not a contraindication. Can I combine with supplements? Yes. Baking soda combines well with magnesium, vitamin D, zinc, omega-3, and turmeric. Avoid taking with iron or calcium. Baking soda can interfere with their absorption. Separate by at least 2 hours. Does baking soda help the prostate? There's growing evidence that the reduction in systemic inflammation that baking soda contributes to improves prostate health. Many of my patients report urinating better, with more force and without interruptions, after a few weeks of use. It's not an official prostate treatment, but the impact is real. What baking soda should I buy? Pure food grade sodium bicarbonate, the same used for cooking. Found in supermarkets in the baking section. Don't buy industrial or cleaning grade, and no need for an expensive brand. The cheapest has the same effect. Does baking soda cause gas in the first weeks? Yes, it's possible to feel some discomfort. Burping, it's the body adapting. This passes. If it's too bothersome, reduce the dose by half for a few days and then increase gradually. How long do I need to use it? Baking soda isn't an antibiotic with a 10-day deadline. It's a lifestyle adjustment. Use it as long as you want the benefits. Some of my patients have used it for years without any issues. If you stop, the effects last for a period, but pH can drop again, and symptoms may return. Can I use it with the blue pills? Yes. Many of my patients started using both at the same time. Over time, as baking soda restored pH and nitric oxide production, they gradually reduced the medication, always with medical supervision. Never stop a medication abruptly. When do I start seeing results? Between the third and seventh day, most notice the first morning erections. In 2 weeks, function starts responding during the day. In a month, results consolidate. Give at least 30 days before any conclusion. Let me tell you one last story, because it sums up everything I've been saying. Renato was 74, a retired professor, cultured, articulate, a man who'd taken care of his health his whole life. But he'd reached a point where he'd simply given up expecting things to change. He came to the office more out of curiosity than hope. 3 months after the protocol, he came back and said something that stuck with me. Doctor, I spent years looking for the solution in expensive offices, exams, medications that cost a fortune. The solution was costing less than $6 and was right there in my kitchen cabinet. I feel betrayed by the complexity of everything they sold me before and grateful for the simplicity you showed me. Renato urinated better, slept better, had more energy. Function had returned. He was 74 and described himself as a 54-year-old man. This isn't advertising, it's physiology. When you give the body the environment it needs to function, it responds. Not because it's magic, but because it already knew how to do it. It was just waiting for the right condition. Baking soda seems too simple, too cheap, too obvious, and that's exactly why it's ignored. But simple doesn't mean ineffective. Simple means accessible to everyone. It means this resource doesn't belong to those who can pay more. It belongs to you watching this video now, no matter where you live or what you earn. A 1/4 teaspoon in the morning. A 1/4 teaspoon at night every day without fail. On the 3rd day, you'll wake up different. In the first week, your body will start reminding you of who you were. In the first month, the difference will be in your eyes, your energy, your self-confidence. Take care of your pH. Take care of your internal environment, and your body will take care of the rest. Now, one last thing before you go. If this content helped you, if you learned something no one had explained clearly until today, subscribe to the channel, because here we talk about men's health without beating around the bush, without judgment. With the depth this topic deserves. Content that reaches where it needs to in the way it needs to. Take care of yourself.